The National Information Technology Authority Uganda, NITAU, was formulated as the National Data Protection Authority that maintains the register, lists every institution, person, or public body collecting or processing personal data. Its role and responsibility is to ensure that every data collector complies with the principles of data protection and the Act. Dr. Hatib Mugasa, the Executive Director, NITAU, sheds more light on how organizations protect themselves from cyber scammers.
Website databases contain a treasure trove of confidential information, including usernames, email addresses, phone numbers, and passwords. Such databases are a tempting target for cyber criminals who hack into them to steal such information, then sell it to their fellow criminals on the dark web. That's why website databases should be as secure and protected as possible. Speaking with the Executive Director of National Information Technology Authority, Dr. Hatib Mugasa, he disclosed that there are regulatory environment policies put in place to govern how the consumer should use, collect, and process data.
Activities that were put in place at NITA have been twofold. One is to have a policy, the regulatory environment, those laws, those guidelines that people have to use, the data collector. To manipulate or to misuse this data, you first need to collect it or to access it in one way. So we have set up an office, the Data Protection and Privacy Office. It's a fully fledged commission that governs how data must be collected, stored, processed. There are laws or there are guidelines that also set for the data consumer or the data processor. So if you misuse the data, then you have breached the law. But yes, there are people who intentionally misuse or access this data. So for the ones who are accessing it with good intentions, they follow the law, and we come in to assess their capability.
Technology like computer emergency response team have been structured where suspicious activities are monitored and is responded to as per organizations like banks, NGOs, and other institutions that rely on online database collection.
Response team. We monitor such suspicious activities, especially on the network that we have. If it's a government social media account, we monitor, and when we identify any suspicious activity, we disable that.
Asked about the challenges faced by e-services, it all comes down to the business process. People need to fully understand their objective because they tend to rush to deploy applications before they comprehend the reason as to why they are changing from manual to digital service.
Unit that is providing the e-service, the business process, was it fully understood? One. Two, when it was being transformed into a digital process now, their manual business processes, when you transform that to a digital business process, was this done the right way, in a way that it is going to reduce the time, because the process that you transform and still the time, it's still at the same time that you take if it was a manual process. So did it actually achieve its objective in reducing on the time, reducing on the cost? There are some processes you transform digitally, but you are paying heavily when it is now a digital solution, because you have to pay a lot of money to maintain it. So that cost, was it reduced? That's the problem that you wanted to solve, is it actually being solved? So that is the biggest challenge. And that comes about by accepting or rushing to deploy without fully understanding those factors, those objectives of the actual reason why you are procuring that service. So the biggest challenge is that we rush to deploy.
Rona Nahabwe, Smart 2040.